Hi, my name is Bobby Darvish. I'm actually an Iranian American, ex-Muslim leader. I used to be the president of the Muslim Forum of Utah, and I used to be the executive director for CARE Columbus. Now, I grew up mostly in the United States, but I've been to Iran multiple times. I think after my first time I came here when I was like a year old, I've been back in the year 2000, 2003, and 2008. And I have not been back since 2008. Now, the reason I have not been back is because I've said a lot of stuff against the government again, in addition to the first time my family was blacklisted. And I can't go back to Iran because two reasons. One, because I talk against the evil authoritarian tyranny of the Islamic Republic and its evil ayatollahs who rule with an iron fist and kill people on a daily basis. But in addition to that, I'm an apostate. Being an ex-Muslim means that you're an apostate, and under Islamic law, under any of the three categories of Islam, of Sunni, Shia, and Sufi, which I've experienced all three, because I used to get involved with all three of those groups. And I can tell you this, under the Ottoman and Safavid Sufi dynasties, or any of the other Shia or Sufi or Sunni dynasties, if you leave Islam, you're considered an apostate, and you have a warrant to be killed or executed. Now, the reason why they do that is because Islam is not just a religion. Islam is first and foremost a political ideology, and second, an economic ideology, and third, religion, you could say a cult. And what it really is, it's an Arab moon god cult of war. That's what it is, because the only guaranteed salvation any Muslim has is if they kill in the name of Allah. They're kind of like Vikings in a sense, meaning that the only way that they can go to heaven, similar to the Vikings going to Valhalla, they have to kill for Allah. That kind of rhymes too, doesn't it? So yeah, kill for Allah, go to Valhalla, that kind of thing. So the issue with Islam that people like, our so-called fake Persian friend here online in New York by the name of Shahzadeh and his other, Islamic Republic accomplices like, what's her name? Bushra Sheikh, the British Pakistani cheerleader for the Islamic Republic, which in a lot of ways she reminds me of Axis Sally. And in fact, a lot of people in the Iranian community, we call her like Axis Bushra, because like she's literally like a cheerleader for the Islamic Republic, murdering savages, right? She does her crocodile tears for the girls' school that got hit. And she doesn't explain why it got hit. It was because it used to be an IRGC base, and the IRGC was literally stuck next to the school. They were like kind of like one and the same. The other problem is the IRGC launches missiles from these locations, so they'll come right next to a school or a mosque and then try to launch missiles out of it, and that creates a lot of problems. It is a problem because every time they launch missiles, the United States, when they shoot Tomahawk missiles, they're going to try to hit the IRGC bases. Instead, they'll hit like maybe a mosque or a girls' school in this case. And that's really the fault of the IRGC, not the fault of, the American military. That's not like the reason why that happened and stuff. So, the reality is that because of their evil human shield tactics that you see, Hamas, Hezbollah, Boko Haram, all these like Islamic terrorist groups, they're using the same exact techniques because they're a bunch of jihadi terrorists. The Islamic Republic is by no means legitimate. They're bastards. They're bastards who have killed people in my family. They've killed people in other Iranians' family. They're not legitimate. They're Arab Sayyid Islamic occupation government that all these Pakistani thugs, Arab thugs, Chechen thugs, all these bastard, evil, demonic people support them, right? So if you want to see somebody that's like a hypocrite, this Shahrzadeh, he's like, oh, you guys are talking about like, Pahlavi, bringing Pahlavi back. Well, yeah, we want Pahlavi back because he was the prince. He should have been king instead of the Ayatollah Pedar Sukhti Kesafat Kunkesh Madar Qahve Khomeini. Instead, instead of the crown prince, who was who still is a sophisticated man, he's educated. We got Ayatollah Khomeini, the 7th century savage, who killed everybody. And yeah, you can't have those kind of people leading your, leading your country. It's like, it's insane. Like, you can't like do that kind of stuff. Right now, what's going on with Trump, Hegseth, and everybody, they're trying to free the country from these savages. But then you have people like Shahrzadeh, who acts like he's like some sort of sophisticated Iranian Sufi master or something, and he does all this like 7th century Dahati, like country style, like sitting on the ground, dressing up like Pakistanis, and calling it Iranian, all this kind of crap. It's like, dude, you're not gonna like bring back 7th century Middle Eastern culture in New York. New Yorkers, like, one of the reasons why New York is going down is because of that insanity. You have like Mamdani, who's trying to like, press this kind of like, Islamic socialism. It's like, dude, Islamic socialism destroyed Iran. When the Shah first, by the way, hey, Shahrzadeh, my friend, I'm talking directly to you. Yeah, you. When the Shah was in power in Iran, $1 was 7 tomans. Your Muslims in Iran, your Islamic Republic in Iran, has changed that 7 tomans to $1 ratio to 200,000 tomans to $1. If you're an Iranian and you hear me saying this, you should be pissed. اگر ایرانی هستی، اگر فهمیدی که 7 تومن $1 بوده، حالا شده 200,000 تومن $1، میفهمی که دارم چی میگم. Right? So, going back in English, آقای شرق‌زده پدر سوخته، کارگر جمهوری اسلامی، چرا میخوای اسلام بمونه تو ایران؟ 47 سال ایران، تو کی ترتیب دهن ایران رو داده؟ همون اسلامته، همون صوفیته، همون شیعه سنی، هر چی که میخوای اسمشو بگی. دین محمدی احمق بیشروع کثافت سوسمارخوری که از عربستان اومده که باید فقط عربی صحبت بکنی که بتونی مثلا نماز بخونی، این دین کثافت، این دینه که اومده ایران رو از بین برده، نه آمریکا، نه اسرائیل. همون پاکستانیه کسکشی که تو میخوای مثلا چابلوسیشون رو میکنی، کیرشون رو میخوری و اینا، خب چون بچه کونی هم از در میاد هستی. همون فلسطینی ها بودن که اومدن ایرانی ها رو گذاشتن رو دیوار، تیر زدن، اعدام کردن. همون پدر سوخته فلسطینی بودن که اومدن کردها رو گذاشتن رو دیوار، نه دیوار که چه عرض کنم، وسط صحرا تیر زدن، کشتن. تو کی هستی؟ مردی که اومدی تو نیویورک حرف زیادی میزنی. به تو چه که مثلا ایرانی ها میخوان پهلوی برگرده؟ تو پدر سوخته میخوای جمهوری اسلامی بمونه؟ تو میخوای کمونیستا بیان؟ دیوونه ای؟ مغزت خرابه؟ 47 سال فامیلای من زندان رفتن، شکنجه شدن، کشته شدن. انشالله کل فامیلی تو همین حالت براشون پیش بیاد که بفهمی که چقدر کثافت این دینی، کثافتت. پدر سوخته. میدونی من اصلا از این چیزا مدتی بود اصلا حرف نمی زدم، ولی پدر سوختایی که مثل تو میان روی تیوی و یوتیوب و از این کثافت ها این حرفا رو میزنن، یعنی شما آدم پدر سوخته ای هستید. شما میخواین ایرانی‌ها رو زیر شکنجه نگه دارین برای این اسلام گوهتون، اسلام عربتون. تو عربی، تو بچه عربی، اصلا تیپت معلومه، تو ایرانی نیستی. تو جدت عرب بودن، نه ایرانی. خب سیدای پدر سوخته رو از ایران باید بکنیم، اسلام رو از ایران باید بکنیم، این پدر سوخته رو باید از ایران بکنیم. یه دونه عرب کسکش از این سیدا نباید بمونه توی سیستم ایران. خب میدونیم آدم تا یه حدی این چیزا رو تحمل میکنه. 47 ساله ما اینجا واسطادیم این کسشرها شنیدیم. بابا ول کنین دیگه. ریدم تو اون اسلامت، ریدم تو دهن محمد، ریدم تو دهن الله، ریدم تو دهن حسن و حسین کسکشا. خب خارتون رو گاییدم با اون اسلام کیریتون، با اون دوستان نگاه کنین پاکستانی و نگاه کن اصلا دوستاتون کیان؟ امولای پاکستانی که میرن تو خیابون میرینن، اینا دوستای شما. پدر سوخته رفتی حالا نیویورک، کشور مسیحی، تو کشور شهر مسیحی داری زندگی میکنی، باید کسشهر از مسیحی ها میگی، کسشهر از مثلا پهلوی میگی، کسشهر از کل آدمایی میگی که مثلا چی میگن تمدن آوردن. اصلا تو اصلا حتی انگشت کوچیک پهلوی نیستی، تو حتی انش نیستی، شاشش نیستی. آقای شرق زده اینقدر ترسو کسکش هستی حتی میترسی اسم واقعی تو بذاری. مرد نیستی که. Now, going back to English because I had to get that out because of our friend in New York is trying to push this Islamic bullcrap and we're not having it, right? So anyways, going back to what I was saying before, King Pahlavi, Reza Pahlavi, whatever you want to call him, he's the person that needs to take over Iran. Once he comes in, he's going to be able to free Iran, where you can have a democratically elected leader. He can most likely sit back as a constitutional monarch, just like the rest of the European countries who have the same exact thing. And enough is enough. You Americans here, you wouldn't want a theocracy, would you? And especially not an Islamic theocracy that's a million times worse than anything that you've seen the whole history of Christianity. And by the way, the Crusades, Inquisition, Reconquista, these were all justified. You know why they were justified? Because all three of those things were fighting the jihad of Islam that had been going on for at least 400 or 500 years, right? Muslims have been terrorizing Christians in the Middle East, which was a Christian region, by the way, like, Turkey, Syria, Lebanon. This whole area was like basically part of the Christian zone. Once the Muslim Arabs came, they destroyed it and they Islamized and Arabized everybody, right? But that's not what we want there. We want that area to go back to how it was. Particularly Iran wants to be a secular country where Zoroastrians, Christians, Jews, everybody can live in peace from these Muslim terrorists. And Islam is a terrorist religion. It really is. If it wasn't a terrorist religion, we wouldn't see religious terror always being Islamic globally. Like there's literally every single day there's an Islamic terror going on somewhere in this world. There's a website for it. It's called the religionofpeace.org or .com. I can't remember the ending. I think it's .org. But you got to, if you go to that website, it'll tell you the literal daily count of terrorism that goes on. It's pretty disgusting and scary. So check that out. But yeah, this issue with Pahlavi, Iranians only want Pahlavi. Out of the 90 million Iranian population in Iran, about 80 million want Pahlavi. Out of the 30 million exiles, we all want Pahlavi, except for that small Mek group, which is a few 100,000 people. They're a bunch of Marxist Islamists who are just as bad as the Islamic Republic and actually helped them come to power. And then once they came to power, then they attacked the Mek itself. So all these people are evil. Any Republican supporting Mek does not have my vote. So going back to reality here, we want to free Iran. We want Trump to attack. We want Hegseth to attack. We want the Islamic Republic to be removed. No deals, no nuclear deals, no peace treaties. We want the Islamic Republic removed. Once it's gone, Pahlavi will take care of the rest. He'll come in, he'll create the democratic government that we want, and we're good to go, right? So don't worry about Pahlavi. Pahlavi is the number one choice. I support them. My family supports them. Everybody I know that's Iranian, that's not a terrorist, supports them. Except for this Shahrzad that works for the Islamic Republic, or Bushra Sheikh from Pakistan, who's a British Pakistani. These people are basically enemies of the free Iranian peoples. And there's no way that anybody should be supporting them. So, anyways, Javid Shah, long live King Pahlavi, long live President Trump, and let's see freedom for Iran here this year. We want, in 2026, we want to see freedom for Iran. We're waiting for it for 47 years. We don't want all these traitors like Shahrzadeh and all these enemies like Bushra Sheikh to come in and try to force Islam back on us. We don't want it. We're Iranians, not Muslims. My ancestry has 0% Muslim groups like Turks, Arabs. Well, actually, no, I have Turk, little percent. Or like, Arabs, Pakistan. Like, all these people who are like hardcore Muslim groups, like the Arabs, because they invented this religion. I'm fine with that. I don't have any of that. So my ancestry is mostly like 61% European, 24% Asian, 16% I think Iranian, and I think I have 1% like Native American or something. But I was born in Iran, raised in the United States. My family had been enslaved by the Muslims for at least 500-600 years. Before that, we were Christians, and I'm happy to be Christian again. I actually left Islam in 2013 and became Christian in 2019. And I suggest every Iranian takes a DNA test and finds out that they're not Arab Sayyids, and they go back to whatever religion they came from, like Zoroastrianism, Christianity, Judaism, whatever they were. It's worth it. So, anyways, I'll talk about a different subject here soon. These impromptu videos I'm making are because I want to be able to like talk to you guys whenever I got time when I'm not working. But eventually I think I'm going to make this more professional, make it better than any of these like Shahrzadeh types who sit at the desk with a bunch of BS books on behind them and stuff. Or like, Bushra Sheikh going to Iran, mingling with the Islamic Republic terrorists. I don't do that. So I'm going to be making these videos for a long time until I get to a point where I want to kind of sit down and do it on a sit down. I might do it soon, who knows. I do have a documentary that's going to be coming out, not mine, but it's an Iranian filmmaker. He's making about Iranian Americans. I won't mention who yet. I'll be on that documentary hopefully, and then there's a podcast who's also being run by an Iranian American, a different one. I should be on that as well. And I'm working on my own stuff too. I have, again, my own YouTube channel now. I also have a Patreon. I have a whole bunch of different avenues like Facebook. You can follow me, but please do follow me. And I want to hear from you guys. I'm interested in hearing from Muslims who want to become Christian, for example, because I am Christian. I totally support it. In the last 10-20 years, we've had about 8 million new Christians in Iran. So I support Christianity. The reason I support Christianity, because a lot of people ask me like, well, why don't you support Zoroastrianism? I said, well, I support Zoroastrianism too. But the problem that I see with Zoroastrianism is not a political religion, right? And it's not militant. Well, it was during the time of, the Persian Empire, but past that, it hasn't been. Because just overall, the religion doesn't support that kind of mentality, which is a problem. That's one of the reasons why the Arabs were able to take over so easily, similar to why Hinduism lost against the Muslims, and that's why the Sikhs were born to fight the Muslims. But Christianity to me is kind of like what Sikhism is to Hinduism. It's kind of like, to me, Christianity is to Zoroastrianism the same way. It's like a militant form of Mithraism in a sense, which I like. I like Christianity because it fights back. A lot of people think Jesus said, turn the other cheek. No. Jesus said if somebody attacks you, when you're under attack and there's injustice happening against you, sell your cloak and buy a sword. That's just one verse. There's more verses than that. So yeah, we're not into this. I don't turn the other cheek, and I don't bend the knee. It kind of hurts, so I'm not going to be bending a knee. Overall, Iranians want freedom. That's what we want. And again, I support any Iranian who wants to become Christian, 100%. If you want to become Zoroastrian, I don't have a problem with any of those religions. I do have a problem with Islam particularly, and its political side even more so. We've paid the price with blood, and I'm not shooting from the hip, so keep that in mind. Anyways, good luck with everything in your lives. Hopefully we'll see an end to the Islamic Republic here. Again, long live President Trump, long live King Pahlavi, and hopefully we'll see a free Iran in 2026. If not, after the next year, as soon as possible. Let's put it like that. Anyways, talk to you guys later. Enjoy.